2009 Cook Islands. I guess I think if I think about it selection-wise, it was more of not so much exciting, but it was kind of nerve-wracking. I think the idea of knowing that you're now going to represent your country. For myself, coming from Hammersdale, I think that was something that was quite massive if I think about it now. But at that time, I don't recall myself being really excited. I think I was more nervous and wanting to actually do, I guess, good for my country, but also do good for the team. I think the journey, though, through the selection was just fantastic. I loved the group that we had at that time. I also loved the fact that everyone was quite new to the system, which was really nice. Yeah, definitely. It was my first time wearing green and gold. And the best part of it was, to figure out what that feels like. I think as you go on over the years, getting picked into a national team, you kind of have an idea, although it's still, exciting. But at that time, I think it was a completely different story to get to understand how people feel, when they get told you're going to represent your country. So it was really nice. If I think about it, I think we probably were a camp. I remember before they used to, we would have selections happening, before the team gets called in, we would be called into a room and they would tell us they're going to call the team, but you shouldn't say, shouldn't tell anyone yet. I think we were in the room and the team was announced, couldn't tell anyone until Netball South Africa announces, which I still think was just, how long can you keep such information? But yeah, to think about it, when you get your name announced at that time, I think, like I said, it just feels like, now it's real. And from that, what do I do with this? How is it gonna, how it's gonna turn out, going forward? So I think that is something that I would always take on, through my life, that experience, that feeling of knowing I'm going to represent the country. Like I said, it's just something that you can never be able to explain proper to anyone. To think about it, if I try to remember when I had a chance to wear green and gold for the first time, I think we went to Lesotho. There was a tournament just before we went to Cook Islands for the World Cup. And at that time, I know Tony Joey, Coach Dudu, had this rotation of captaincy. I think they were trying to figure out who can lead and what's not. And when we had a chance, obviously, to play, it looked more like it's an African tournament building up to the World Youth Netball Champs. I remember putting this, uniform on, but not really thinking much about it is not the same as what I'm used to wearing, but thinking of now it's going to be this, and for how long can this happen? I've always thought of being in a national setup, didn't matter under 21 or seniors, about it's exciting now, but how long can you maintain this and how long can you go with it? So I think that mindset, carried on from that age group to being a Spar Protea. But I think I remember thinking, this is an exciting start. I wonder how long it's gonna, go on, because I've known people who have played for our country for over the years, and I think that was one of the things that excited me, being part of the. I don't know if I am a legend, but being part of the legends, I don't think it's something that you think about. I think it just happens eventually. I have to say though, I would always cherish all netball moments, because I think even now where I sit calmly in every position that I have, or position that I might have, that I get excited to actually, get purely because of netball. And I say this, with pride, because netball is still not a professional sport in our country. But if I look at all these opportunities that it has given me, and not just myself, but a lot of people, it makes you look later on that, I'm actually probably part of the legends, which is quite exciting. And the exciting part that comes with it for me, genuinely, is to also really just want to give back then. Knowing you're part of, the group that has done well, I guess, and I hope in terms of myself, for the country, how much more can you then give out there to make others, or allow others to be part of what you've been through, hopefully only the good stuff. I think the funny part, if I think of the best memories from the World Youth Netball Cup was, I think I remember having to be called as a captain of the side. And up until now, I think about what did I even say to those interviews, during those interviews when they were, you know, when I had to do them either before or after the games. And that's purely because I know how shy, firstly, I was. I know how, you know, less confident I was at the time. And I think that experience of, of just not knowing, but actually having such a critical role in having to lead the side, I think it was probably one of the biggest highlights. I still look back and I think, you know, I don't even know, I can't remember how it felt like, but I remember really loving the sports, really loving playing netball. It's just at that time felt like it's something that I would want to do forever. And it felt like it's something that I would want to work for so I can be good continuously and that I can grab so much opportunities from. And I just remember us actually getting out and, you know, being called, you know, that loud voice saying South Africa, and then I walk in and it's us, it's under 21s, and, you know, that exciting vibe that I would never actually forget. But I also would never forget the idea of everything was just fresh at that time. I still can't remember some of the stuff, which is really quite good. Do you think you're in a position and you're quite aware until you're actually out of it that you think, I wasn't really aware of a lot of things, and that's, I guess, the journey of sports, but also of life in general. I think knowing that we're obviously less experienced, I guess, in terms of the netball structures, in terms of where we were with ranking as under 21s of South Africa, I guess. I've learned so much looking at other teams. Like if I think about it quickly, if I could still remember an Australian team coming in onto the courts, they walk, you know, they bold shoulders walking in. I wouldn't think that's something you get taught, you get coached. I would think, if I look at them, I'll be like, why are they looking so, you know, like it's, when you look at them, get intimidated. Why do they look like that and we not? And it always felt like, are we a step behind? Should we then respect them too much? You know, like it was, it felt to me like at that time, there's certain countries that you look at and you get intimidated straight away before you even play. And now that obviously I'm sitting in this position, I get to understand that these things are coached, that these things can be actually achieved from a certain age group. It doesn't have to get to even a national side. And the more you understand that, the more I can look back with the under 21 group and think there's so much more that we've learned from actually indirectly knowing that we're learning it, which is nice, because referring to that and then having to now being a coach myself, there's a lot that I could apply and make, I guess, the younger age group experience things better than what we did, which is quite exciting. But also I think the idea, I think at that time, I've never realized that netball players can be so massive. And by massive, I mean some of them were huge, like really tall, and some of them were really big in, you know, body structure. And it gave me a sense of, you know, sometimes there was a perception of you need to look a certain way as a netball player. And if you build this way, you shouldn't be part of a team. I think only then I realized that that is not true. Like you get really big shooters stepping on court and they were unstoppable. And it looked to me like their body structure at the time actually is favoring them in their position. And later on as you go, I guess, with the netball career, you realize that that is actually true. But at the time, I think I remember myself going to trials and I would look at certain players and in my head I would think, I wonder if she will get selected, and it probably wouldn't. And I think it's because of the stereotypes of you must look a certain way, which you get to that level with the under 21 national side, whatever, the World Cup, and you realize that is not the case. It's about performance. It's about what you bring, you know, to court, which is actually a fair way of selection, I guess. I think me being the shortest player always actually gave me not just the will and the drive to want to be better all the time, but the excitement part was always the fact that I felt like if you are tall and you're playing next to me, it's easier. It's really easier for me to play against you compared to if we're same height. And there was barely anyone who's the same height as me. I think that has been something that all other players, especially the young ones, will see as a negative. And it can be a pure positive thing for you as an athlete if you take it in a positive way. I guess speed, agility, you will know all this, the power, all of that helps you so much. If you're a shorter player and having to play against really massive players, because the first thing is everyone would look at you and be like, oh, she's so short. And the more you can be able to execute your role just as per your position, not think about anything else, the more everyone can quickly see that, compared to if you are tall, we just assume you must be good because you are tall. But if you're short and you're doing really well, everyone sees that and get excited about it because, oh my gosh, she's short, and they feel, sorry for you for being short, which could be an advantage. But I think sport has changed over the years. It's actually shown, like I said, that nobody's structure, height, or whatever matters. It's really just about performance-based. Can you actually execute as per the role that you are taking on court, which is, I guess, it's a fair level of play. Yeah, I think that's actually the exciting part. We all have different strengths, and we wouldn't want, I guess, all short players in a team. You want everyone to bring in their strengths, and that's combines like a beautiful team. I think being a leader, I think at that time for under-21s, like I said, some of it, if I can be honest, I can't even remember, what was I even doing? What did I even say? And as the leadership part of it, taken its toll, because you can not remember some of the stuff, but there's really like demanding things that you need to do as a leader. You then start thinking, am I even, equipped enough for this position? And I think that's something that I've critically been, I guess, questioning myself with, even when I was a leader now for the Spar Proteas later on. But with the under-21s, I think it was more about, having to lead a group that I felt like was more of my friends. I didn't even put leadership in my head because I didn't even want it, honestly. And what I just wanted was, can we all just be a group that gets along really well? Can we all just be a group that can make each and every one of us, look good on courts? And if we could do that, then everyone is aligning. It would be easier, I guess, to take instructions from the coaches, obviously depending on the level of play we're at, and all of us move as a team. That has been the drive. But majority of the times, and up until today, I've always believed that leadership is purely based on, you gotta respect people, and majority of the times if you do that, you get the respect back. Then that's where you get the buy-in. Players are gonna probably listen. I didn't even think of them listening to me anyway, because at that time I'll sit around the table and I'll think, why must I be the one talking? Can someone else just talk? Can someone give instructions here? And I think based on how I grew up, I think I was more favored to lead at a time, I think, because the approach, how I would speak, I think sometimes I would say one or two words and I would think they're less important, but people will perceive them as actually they are. So I think it was really more about how I was brought up. I think, apart from Vanessa Marie de Todt, my buddy, and I'm going to mention this person now because they're still carrying on, I guess, giving back to the sport. But I remember Babush, Samisha, and I still get excited when I see her. I saw her coaching at the Telkom Netball League, coaching Alus, and I look back, to think.
She's an umpire as well.
Yeah, definitely. As an umpire as well, she does a lot of umpiring. But I remember myself thinking, it's funny how a journey of, we just speaking age group level, which was under 21, and then now all of a sudden you see this person sitting in a big seat of being a head coach at a top netball league in our country, which is quite exciting because we always speak about, I want to give back. I want to, give back first to the sport, but also to the people, to the kids. And you see it actually materializing by someone that has been part of your leadership group actually doing that, which I guess it's something that we all look up to. I don't know if she actually thinks of it like that, but it's something that I thought when I looked at her, I was like, this is really beautiful, not just for her, but for our sport.
Okay.
I think just from the under-21 group that we went to Cook Islands or played World Cup or played building towards the World Cup, not the World Youth Netball Cup. I can still remember, the likes of Lindy Lombard, Nadia Ace, Vanessa Marie de Todt, and thinking of the fact that we want to see a progression from, I guess, a certain age group. Where does these girls go to after being under 21? It's really fantastic to see them, I guess, stepping into the shoes of the Spar Proteas, which is the stuff that we want to see. I guess the work that is done at age group level shouldn't just finish there, because that means we actually probably don't have a progression plan. But I can, proudly say that we've seen the growth. We've seen people taking on positions at a Spar Proteas level with, with the likes of the three, including myself, and to also see and experience a difference in terms of performance, in terms of how you carry yourself, you know, the structures, all of that. It was just, yeah, it was just great. From competing at the World Youth Netball Cup in Cook Islands, gosh, I've gone through so much, I've done so much, and I think, like I said, it's amazing how everything just paved the way. I think the best part of coming from there was to go straight into Spa Proteas squad camp, where I actually felt like, you know, when you get into a camp and you just think, please don't select me, like, I don't want to be part of this, and not because of, I guess, the system or whatever, but purely because you think people are much better in terms of performance, that you still feel like you less capable. You know, sometimes we just feel like, okay, maybe not me. But anyway, so at that time when I got to camp, the exciting part was to actually see the progression. I remember thinking at under 21s, I wonder how long I'll be part of the group. So to have that opportunity, at least to go to trials, was quite exciting. Nerve-wracking, obviously, but yes. From there, over the years, 2011 was the first time I got selected for the Spa Proteas. 2013, if I remember correctly, I was vice captain. 2016, I was captain of the Spa Proteas up until 2023. So leave that apart. I've played in England for Surrey Storm, and this was 2015. This is now an international league. I've played for Wasps Netball in 2017 and 2019. I've played in Australia in Suncorp for Thunderbirds in 2018. 4 seasons, obviously, which was quite exciting. I guess the exciting part also is to be regarded as a professional netballer, although you would know that coming from home, you're actually not, which then gives you the excitement of knowing that there's possibilities of actually being a professional netballer. And apart from that, I've started my own netball program, which is a Bongiwe Msomi legacy project. Love it to bits. This is where I get to, you know, give a chance of coaching other players, sharing information, experiences, all that. We've now just implemented an academic support within our projects, and this is where we help student athletes from, I guess, different backgrounds to apply, you know, to universities if they're doing well in sports, but also academically, apply for scholarships, and then within that program to monitor them, their career. So there's a lot of things that I've done up to now. Now I work at the University of Johannesburg as a netball manager and a coach, and it's something that I really just looked forward to doing. When I did sports management, I thought I want to study and then I want to work within the netball space, and that I'm actually living my dream, if I can put it like that. Yeah, I guess at this point, that's what I'm doing. I've played 4 World Cups. It was 2011 World Cup, 2015, 2019, and 2023. Commonwealth Games was 3. I think it was 2014, 2018, and 2022. Oh my gosh! Did you make me do that?
Yes.
I don't even pay attention to these things. I think this interview is actually helping me to pick it up. I think the World Youth Cup under 21 prepared me so much in the sense of, I guess, a leadership. Ever since I've been part of the under 21s, from then I've been a leader within the system up until obviously to the Spa Proteas. Even when I go overseas, I wouldn't take on a role of being a leader, but I will be amongst, you know, kind of those seniors who can take on a role of leadership. And that was the first part. And funny enough, when I was a leader within the under 21 team, I didn't really believe that I was a leader there. I didn't really think of it as a big thing. I just carried myself as a player. As the time went by, I figured out that when you're within the Spa Protea setup, for instance, there's so much more that you need to figure out and that you need to apply yourself into, you know, that you actually have to take on as a leader. And I don't think people understand how challenging it is. I've seen that more when I stepped away as a player and a leader, that it actually is challenging, and especially now having to deal with players that are in the system and I'm off the system. Their challenges are actually more of the things that I've been through, and, you know, having to see, you know, them having to go through all of that. But anyway, I think that's also taught me a lot more about, you know, sport itself can bring so much more into your life, more than just being a player. And it all started with the idea of being with the under 21 group, the respect that you get from people, even from corporate. It starts to build up the idea of who is a person, who is Bongi, for instance, as a brand, compared to a Bongi as an athlete, and there's no name attached to it. And from that, obviously your CV start changing. And this has nothing much to do with your on-court stuff, but it has a lot to do with the outside, the external part of you and your life and your journey through sports. Then that build up going into the national side, coming off the sports, it speaks more of, what is you even after sports. I think it's created so much more than just a Bongi going to play in the World Youth Netball Cup, but it's paved the way of when she stops playing netball, which is now what I did currently. That history is actually attached to who I am now. Oh, I think with the World Youth Netball Cup coming up, 2025, I guess all the players that will be part of it are getting, or part of the squads, I guess at this point, are getting excited of, what's going to happen, I want to be part of it because no one is in the, 12th team at this point. My advice would be, this is not guaranteed, obviously. We know that it didn't happen, which year was meant to happen?
In COVID,
so during the COVID time.
Yeah.
Okay, we know during COVID time it didn't happen. And if it doesn't happen, obviously the age group of that time suffers because it will only happen then after 4 years, which is a struggle that I guess the girls that were meant to play during the COVID time had to deal with. So the privilege of having to have it next year, I think that's the first part, that if you're part of it, you really have to cherish every moment because it's not guaranteed that it can happen. But the second part of it is to actually start figuring out who you are, like within that, time, within that process, because netball, World Youth Netball Champs builds the character that you're going to build, I guess, as you go on as a player. And if you don't have that character, if you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want to achieve within the sport itself, you might actually just go there and have that experience and then end up stopping playing the sport without actually progressing much through it, even if you have the potential. So I think having to find yourself within this World Youth Netball Cup coming up, figure out what you want, what your goals are within the sport that we love so much, and actually what are you willing to do to achieve what you want, because that's also the biggest challenge, but also doing it. We can always have an idea of I want to achieve this, but are you willing to do what you need to do to achieve what you want? So maybe just that would be the biggest advice, figure yourself. The funny part is everyone says you got to work hard, and it sounds like it's just a general thing for anyone to say. You have to work hard. The best part of a sport is when we go to, let's say you get to the awards or we get to sit in interviews like this and everyone starts thinking it's, okay, this is the glory part of it. Sport is easy. It's the behind the scenes that matters. The amount of how many times a day you get up and you go for training alone, how many times you go for training with the team, but how many extra sessions you put in because you want to be better at it, you want to be better at a certain skill. So all of that matters, I think, in a journey like this one, the World Youth Netball Cup. So really focus on those, nitty-gritties that you have to do. I think the message from my side, for all the netball families out there, you got to support the World Youth Netball Cup. And in saying this, I think for me, I always love the idea of the fresh vibe. The fresh talent coming through. We will see over the years sports having, those legends that have been part of sports for over the years, but what is coming through is quite exciting because that's the future. So this is the future of our sport, and not for a certain country, not for a certain team, for the whole world. So you've got to be having everyone's going to have a chance of watching the future of our sports actually, competing against each other, looking forward to taking a trophy. That's what every athlete wants. But also for the ones who can't lift a trophy, looking forward to all the experiences, because that matters as well. So if you can't support that, then I don't know what you want to support. The glory of what is the future of our sport looking like starts with this age group, and you don't want to miss that. The funny part is some of the players that are really senior-ish will be watching the players that they've probably coached, or the players that they've probably watched growing in front of their faces, that they've probably helped, to be where they are. It's not about just the support, it's an attachment that we all have with the group that's going to play now. So really just get involved and support them, because obviously at this age group sometimes even corporates don't really want to be attached that much because they want the top guns. these are the top guns of your future. So if you start now to support this, it's purely going to speak a lot of volume, a lot of successes as we go forward, because it all starts here.
Signing out.
Signing out. Bongi.